Goeienaand. Good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. I'm sorry if I forget you from time to time. You're very much part of this family. Now, you've got to take your hat off to South African politics. It gets right down in the sewer. And the reporters here are wondering why one Jacob Zuma met with the BLF. Seeing that Zuma was the ex-president of South Africa and is still a member of the ANC, and the BLF are clearly counter-revolutionary parties, and they should not be having any contact at all. But I know exactly why Zuma met Andili of the BLF. It's as clear as daylight. Zuma is always on the take. We know this. That's his character, that's what he's done in politics, that's what he did when he was president. He took as much as he could out of the public purse, of course. In the video that's attached, you'll see Zuma on the take again. This time he's getting a traditional spear and shield. You know, the old Zulu, Shaka Zulu type spear and shield. And talking about Shaka Zulu, I'll put the link down below. There's an excellent film which actually clearly demonstrates the way the Zulus lived before the white man came in and destroyed their wonderfully peaceful, loving culture. Well, this film puts the tar wash on that, and it is completely accurate. And the tragedy is that little has changed when you look at the traditional Zulu way of life in the Chigela River Valley. This is still how they live. Now, I'll put the link down below. It's a 2-hour-long movie. It is a fascinating movie. And finally, please remember to subscribe, and here comes the video. Take care, guys.
Lots of traction on this one for the former president in social media. He had an interesting meeting with the BLF.
Yes, and it was a thank you visit by the BLF to President Jacob Zuma in Durban. And the BLF says that they went to thank him for economic transformation, for radical economic transformation. And essentially, this is a policy of the ANC. So it's difficult to see how the BLF thanks former President Jacob Zuma for it. But nonetheless, this is what they did. And at the meeting, they presented the former president with a shield and a spear, two literal objects. And they said that they would continue to fight for radical economic transformation, but they would also continue to protect radical economic transformation. And if you look at the visuals of the meetings, it seems as if Zuma was happy to have them, shared a few jokes with them, as he usually does, and then said that he believes he'll see them in Parliament and he'll be watching them from home.
All right, let's take a look at that interaction.
We are saying symbolically, let's continue with the fight. We are going to continue with this fight. We are going to protect ourselves. We are going to unite our people. We are going to make sure the vision, le usnikeze yona RET, becomes real.
So what's the ANC actually saying about this?
Looks like they're quite hesitant to dip into the controversy, which is obviously on social media. So the ANC has a constitution which sets out how its members should act, but its Secretary General, Ace Magashule, is saying today at that NEC meeting that he receives requests for meetings with the ANC all the time. He'll be meeting with the African Independence Congress as well as the Pan-Africanist Congress, and he doesn't see anything wrong with it. Of course, the Secretary General was referring to organizations who'd requested the ANC to meet on a organization to organization level, and this was a meeting of its former president with another political body, which is, of course, if you look at the ANC constitution, it straddles on being in violation thereof, because the constitution says that ANC members should not be found to be in collaboration with what it terms counter-revolutionary forces. So if the ANC believes that former President Jacob Zuma didn't violate its constitution, then it's in effect saying that it doesn't consider the BLF to be counter-revolutionary.
So no action against him, of course. But on a separate issue, Govan, there have been calls for the BLF not to contest the elections. What's the IEC saying about that?
Right, so we heard this coming from the Freedom Front Plus. We also saw some criticism of the BLF from SANEF in the past, as well as just general comments from the public questioning why they would be allowed to contest. But the IEC has told us that as things stand, they have not received any formal objections to the BLF's participation in the elections. Of course, that deadline lapses tomorrow, so that's when they'll make the final decision. But as things stand, of course, the IEC is saying there's no reason why the BLF can't contest the elections. And as things stand, just to bring it back, former President Jacob Zuma saying that he's taken this meeting with the BLF, but when asked about it, he says that he remains a loyal member of the ANC. So just making sure that he puts that out there in case people were wondering if he had switched allegiance.